Hare Krishna. Don't take everything literally. Use your intelligence. Sometimes, we may, when we get angry, when there's sometimes even in intense love there is affection, and there is in the affection there is anger, and somebody says, I'm going to kill that person. Now they may not speak this at all in a literal sense, but if immediately it may just be an expression of anger. Of course, such expressions have to be regulated. But suppose somebody just because of one expression of anger files a murder charge against them, and then affectionate relationship between two friends or two relatives or two family members gets ruined because of the literal application of one word. So like that, in many usages, when we use word literally, we often, if we stick to everything literally, then we just cannot make sense of things. So Bhagavad-gita is a work of poetry, and as a work of poetry we need to recognize that it contains profound philosophical truths, but it is philosophical truths conveyed in the form of poetry. And as poetry, it also uses poetic devices, such as it uses literary devices such as, say, metaphors. So now if we try to take those metaphors literally, we will end up making a mess of things. So for example, 2.69 in the Bhagavad-gita states that Yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato muneh. So it says that Yanisha sarva bhutanam, that which is considered night by all living beings, if that is considered to be as that is considered as day by the self-control, and that which is considered night by the self-control is considered as day by the materialists. So what is Krishna referring to? Now we may say that day and night are very objective realities. We can't just subjectively claim that this is day and this is night. No, day and night are very objective realities. So what is going on here when Krishna says that different people pursue things differently? He's actually referring here not to the day and night. Some people who may be ultra literalists, they may argue that, oh, actually day and night, they refer to, maybe when a person is in India, they at that time in America there is darkness, there is night. So Krishna is referring to the time zone variation in different parts of the globe. Well, yes, we can interpret it like that if we want to, but the context doesn't warrant such an interpretation. Krishna is talking in this section from 2.54 to 72 about sense control, and he is talking about how in the previous verses he has said that if just as a wind carries away a boat, similarly our intelligence will, and we will be carried away by worldly desires. So he's talking about, therefore he said we have to be very careful in not exposing ourselves to worldly temptation. So he's talking about the materialistic environment around us and the spiritualist focus. So he's contrasting broadly between materialists and spiritualists. So in this verse, he is referring to materialists and spiritualists, and he's referring to them in a metaphorical way. And if we look at the context, we will be easily able to understand that Krishna is talking about the way, in a not non-literal way, he's talking about what people are talking about. That means he is in a non-literal way talking about the way people think, so the way people pursue. So day is generally the phase of activity and night is the phase of inactivity. So for materialistic people, sense gratification is the phase of activity. They are very, very energetic and enthusiastic in it. But devotees are distant and detached from it. For them, what is the point of acting so much for sense gratification? So that is like night for them. And cultivating self-realization, experience, growing spiritually, this is day for the spiritualists. But for materialists, that is like night. What is the point of spending so much time sitting and meditating, doing this, doing that? And they just can't figure it out. So in this way, Krishna is referring to day and night as phases of action and phases of inaction. So he is referring to things in a non-literal sense over here. And by looking at the overall context of the Gita, we can actually understand the import of the Gita. We can't divorce one verse of the Gita from its overall context. Of course, we shouldn't use the fact that the Gita is a poetry to unwarrantedly make everything in the Gita non-literal. No, we have to look at the overall context, and we have to look at the overall import. We have to look at the tradition in which the Gita has been taught, and we basically, all this requires using our intelligence. And Krishna also asks us not for literalist acceptance of the Gita, but for a considered deliberation on the Gita, and thereafter its acceptance. Vimbrishyaita dasheshena yathechita kuru. In 18.73 says, oh, deliberate Arjuna, and decide what you want to do. So like that, when we calmly deliberate and then act, then we will be able to act in a proper way for moving onwards towards in our spiritual journey, in understanding the Bhagavad-gita, applying the Gita, and in achieving the goal of the Gita, that is eternal love for Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.